Hi guys, in this video I want to show you guys how to set up an EC2 instance, deploy MySQL in that EC2 instance, and then access it through MySQL-Workbench. Alright, so two use cases. Let's say you are a student or somebody who is interested in learning database or becoming a database administrator, and your desired database management service that you want to start off with is MySQL. So what you can do is that set up an EC2 instance, deploy MySQL in there, then access it through MySQL-Workbench. Okay. Another use case is that you are a developer or you are working with a development team, and you guys need to use MySQL as your desired backend database. So what you can do is that set up an EC2 instance, deploy MySQL, and then connect it to your front-end application. Okay, so those are the two use cases which you can use for this setup. All right, so without further ado, let's kick off. Now I have my AWS management console here, and I have already logged in, and on recent visited services you should see EC2. If you don't see EC2, go to search, type EC2, and that will bring EC2 in. That will bring EC2 up. Then you should click on EC2. All right. So you can go to a region, select your desired region where you want your EC2 instance to be deployed. So in my own case, I will leave it in Virginia, and then I'll go to instances. I'll click on launch instances. Right in here, I'll type my instance name. I'll call it MySQL server. MySQL server, and then I'll hit on Ubuntu. I want to do this with Ubuntu. Okay. Now I will go to instant type. I will select T3 medium or T3 extra large. Let me use T3 extra large for this video. I will select that. All right. Now I will go to key pair. I will create a key pair for this one. I'll call it MySQL server key. Okay. I'll hit on create. So that already mount that key pair to my server. I'll go to network settings, then hit on edit. If you are using a custom VPC, you can choose your custom VPC, okay? But as of now, I'm not using any custom VPC. I'm using my default VPC, and I'll leave it by default. So for any subnet, I will pick any public subnet, and then make sure you enable this one. That way you have a public IP address assigned to your EC2 instance, all right? So I will create a security group for this demo. So I'll call it MySQL server-sg to represent security group. And of course, I will say I will want to use this to access my SQL server. Okay, so I'll select this and put it on my IP, and of course, and then click on launch instance. All right, this is not supported in this availability zone. So what I can do is that I will go to my network and just do no preference. Okay, that way it will automatically pick any instance type that is available for whatever region it selects on my behalf. So I'll do launch instance. You see that launches my instance, and then I will go select on instance. All right, I'll select on instance, and in fact, let me go to instances, and my instance should be in an initialized status. All right, now let's say we already have our public IP address, but what I want to do is that I want to get my key pair and copy it to a location where I will be able to access it. All right, so I'll open my bash, my git bash. Let me open my git bash. Where is it? Git bash. Let me pull it over here. Of course, I downloaded my key pair to a location, to a download location. Let me make this a little bigger. All right. So in here, I'll do cp. I'll copy my key pair, which is in a download folder. What was it? My SQL, right? My SQL dash server key pair to what? To my SSH location. Okay. Then I will navigate to my SSH folder. So I'll run this command, shmod 400, and then I'll type my key pair, okay, my SQL key pair. Now, let me go get the IP address of my EC2 instance. So my EC2 instance is still initializing. Another way you can do is you can go to connect, but before you hit on connect, you must make sure you select your server, okay? You must select it like this, and then you go to connect, and then go to SSH client, then copy this, right? You can copy that, go back to your git bash, paste that, and hit enter. Then do yes, right? That should connect you to your EC2 instance. But first thing first, what I'm going to do here is that I want to change your host name to my SQL server, okay? So I'll type sudo hostname -str, hostname ctl, all right? That means hostname control, set -hostname. I'll set my hostname to be my SQL-server, okay? Now, if I type batch, you can see that it has changed my host name to my SQL server. Now, let's update our server, sudo apt update -y. So that should update my server. And I'm going to do a full upgrade on this server, all right? That way, we should have all our packages updated and upgraded, okay? Now, once the update is done, what I'll do is sudo apt full upgrade -y. What did I type? Something upgrade. What? Oh, I'm missing apt, all right? Sudo apt full upgrade. All right, let's do a full upgrade on this server. That way all our packages will be up to date. Let's wait for that to upgrade. All right, now that our upgrade is done, let's clear the screen. Let's clear the screen and install our MySQL server, okay? So I'll type sudo apt install my SQL-server, and then hit -y. I have a typo here. apt is not coming up properly. This should install our MySQL services, right? All right, once the installation is done, do sudo system control or ctr MySQL status MySQL, okay? That is already enabled, and what is the service is enabled and present enabled. If it is not enabled, make sure you enable it, okay? Now, let's try to access our MySQL database, all right? So what you can do, what you need to do here is that just type MySQL and then -u to be root, because the root user, the default user is root, okay? And then let's hit enter. So that says access denied on this particular localhost, because let me show you. So if you do cat -etc -host, you should see here that our host is localhost, even though it's not really showing here, but I will show you that okay, right here, you see, it's showing here, okay? This is your localhost. So meaning that if you want to access your MySQL database, you will be connecting to your MySQL database using your localhost, all right? So let me put this. This is not showing correctly. So let me enlarge this a little bit, okay? Let me pull this up like this and like this. I guess this is better, right? Now, let me show you something. So if you try to use a sudo to access your MySQL, all right, to access your MySQL database, you should be able to access that, because you need to have root privilege to be able to do that. So let's say -u is equal to root, okay? Let me see here, you are in your MySQL database. You need root privileges to access it. And there is no password for this. And this is very dangerous, all right? So you need to create a password for root user, or you create a user and of course, give them permissions that they need to be able to access a specific database, all right? So now let's create a user and then use that user to access our database from MySQL-Workbench, okay? Now, let me run some query here. All right, so before we do that, let's create a user. All right, let's create a user, and then we want to call that user. This is create a user, and we call the user pause.admin, and we are granting them access. This percentage sign is a wildcard, okay, sign. That means they should be able to access it all over any kind of network, right? So this user will be identified by this password, okay? So let's hit enter. That is, the query runs okay. Now, we want to grant them permissions to be able to access a specific database and all the tables in that database. So we are granting this user access to this database called pause and learn, and of course this user with all the options, all right? So I will hit enter. Okay, the query is run. Then I will do flush this, all right? Let's flush that, okay? Now, we need to create a database called pause and learn. That way, our pause admin should be able to access that database. All right, let me create that database. Create database. I'll create that database. Okay, so I will say, okay, show databases. Right, so we can see that our pause and learn database in here, and this is the MySQL database is in here. So let's create another database again. I'll call that database my underscore database. Okay, database. Right. Let me call that database, and I will say show. Let me call back the command to show databases. Show databases. You can see that my database is in here. All right. Now, that's it, guys. So let's exit out of this database and then go try to access it through my SQL Workbench. So what is my SQL Workbench? My SQL Workbench is actually a database, a MySQL database client with an interactive user interface that you can use it to access your database, view your database, and run query on the graphical user interface, okay? So I already have MySQL Workbench installed here. You can call it MySQL Workbench or MySQL Workbench install. And if you don't have it, you can go to your Google and search for MySQL, type MySQL Workbench install, and navigate to where you have MySQL Workbench manual installation, and then go there and you will see this installation and go to Windows. I'm using Windows. You can go to Windows, go to Linux or any operating system that you are using as your workstation. Okay, you can go click on this one. You can do the installation and then read through this, okay, and see what best fit your operating system. All right. So let's go back to our MySQL Workbench. Before we do that, we need to go grab the IP address. Let me grab the IP address from here, okay? Let me exit from here, and then I'm going to exit again from here, right? Now, let's go grab the IP address of the EC2 instance. So let's go here and refresh this and select the EC2 instance. Go here, go grab this IP address, all right? So what we need to do here is that let's go to our MySQL Workbench and click on this plus sign button on MySQL connections, all right? In that connections, I want to call this connection give me a second. Connections. I want to call the connection name pause and learn, okay? Pause and learn. Pause and learn. And the IP address is going to be the IP address of my server, the public IP address. And then the user we created earlier was pause-admin, okay? -admin. And then we need to store the password in vault. So I'm going to go grab the password. I'm going to go grab the password, all right? Paste the password in my vault and then do OK and then do test connection, all right? Let's take test connection and see if it will be accepted. All right, let's test connection. All right, guys, so I don't expect this to work. Why? Because this EC2 instance does not have port 3306 open on the security group. So what we need to do is go to security and then select your security group, and then make sure you are on your inbound rules. Click on edit inbound rules, do add rules, go here and type MySQL, and then choose your IP address. You can choose it from your custom IP address. Make it your custom IP address, all right? That way you should be the only one to access it from your public IP address. And then do click and then do save, okay? Now go back to your MySQL and test connection again. All right, it's not accessing, it's not reaching your server. So let's go do some fixes. Okay, let's go back to your command line or your whatever you are using to access your EC2 instance. So I'm going to call back this command and I will go in here. The first thing I need to do is see if I should open my firewall. All right, let's see. So to open your firewall, you do sudo ufw, then I will type 3306 because this is the default MySQL port /TCP. All right, let's hit enter. Sorry, I need to do allow that. Okay, so let's allow that one, then go back and then do the test again. Let's test our connection again. What we have. So this is not connecting All right, this is not connecting. So the next thing we need to do is to navigate to this location in the server, MySQL, and of course, hit that ls. Let's go to MySQL, this ls, and then let's do vi MySQL D and hit enter. I'm going to be a sudo user to run this command. Now, let's go to bind address, and change this and switch this 00. Okay, 0. So that means you should be able to access it from anywhere, right? 00. Okay, so let's save this. But we have to restart our MySQL services. So our system cdr restart MySQL. Okay, that will restart our SQL, and then you have to check the status of your MySQL service. Sorry, that's a typo right there. Okay, MySQL is up and running. So let's go to MySQL-Workbench and test that connection again. Test connection. Yeah, now you can see that successfully make the MySQL connection. Okay, do this and hit OK. Now go in here, click on this, and then you should be able to access your MySQL on the dashboard. I will click on, let me pull this a little bit this way, and I'm going to close this guy. So let me extend this to my right and extend this to my left, to my right. All right. So now you can click on the administration button here and go to users. So it should tell you that the users you are currently using does not have sufficient privileges to view the client connections. Okay. Now let's go to schemas, and you can see that you can access only the pause and learn database that we created. All right. So go back to the administration. You can go to a server. You can see some sort of details here. You can go to client connection. You don't have permissions. You can go to users you don't have. You can see status. You can see data. And you can see so on and so forth. All right. Let's go to schema and run some queries. Okay. Here you say show databases. Okay, and then run it. All right, that will show your database here. Now your database you're interested in is pause and learn, right? Then do use pause and learn. Typo. Okay. All right, so run it. You see that you are using pause and run here, right? Pause and run here. Now let's say show tables, right? Now there should be no tables because we currently don't have any table created in here. All right. So guys, this is how you set up an EC2 instance, deploy MySQL, and access it through MySQL-Workbench on your local. All right. So please like this video, share this video, and comment on the video. So if you have any question, please go to the comment section and ask me a question. I will be more than happy to answer it. I want to thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.